English. My German isn't good enough. My name is Stef de Bont. We're on the Logistics Summit. We've seen so many innovations for the future of logistics, but unfortunately we have to deal with one real big problem we all don't like. It's returns. It's part of logistics, it's part of supply chain, so it's something we have to deal with. And what I would like to do with you today in the next 15 minutes is talk about the challenges of cross-border returns. Because when you ship outside your own country to customers in Europe, for example, the issue of returns might even increase. And if you don't do it right, there's a big impact on return. These are some numbers from a recent study from McKinsey, where we see that with the growth of cross-border returns, the growth of cross-border business, the number of returns that need to be shipped back to the original merchant is more than 600 million. And if you ship them back to the original destination and you calculate that into kilometers, it's an enormous amount of kilometers those products need to travel back. And the value of those products is quite high. And if for some reason the return process fails and we don't recover the value of those products, we also have a big product loss. So doing returns wrong has a huge impact. And the challenge of returns is not just to accept the package back. It's not just a logistics process. What you want to do in returns is avoid loss of sales and please your customer with a seamless customer journey. And of course, you want to organize smart logistics to reduce costs, to reduce emission and so on. And on top of that, you also want to make sure that the products that get back to you can be sold again to avoid product loss. So the challenge of returns is not just a box being shipped back, it's a combination of those three factors. And the question you could ask yourself is the return problem bigger in cross-border returns than just domestically? And let's look at that from 4 different angles. Let's look at the experience angle. Customers outside your own country that don't know you that well, but that have bought with you, want to have that same seamless experience how they bought with you. If you think in terms of cost, shipping something back from a faraway country involves more costs. That often is less sustainable because the products travel longer and the risk of losing the product value is bigger. And executing returns coming from all kinds of countries into Europe requires the right processes and the right systems to do so. Let's have a look at the big picture of returns. This is a process that we all recognize, right? The customer initiates a return, you authorize it, it's being shipped back, you receive it in the warehouse, you settle the return by refunding your customer, and somehow you restock your products to sell them again. This is a very straightforward process. But if you zoom into the details, you will see that in that process, you need to make 4 very important decisions. Decisions about, do I accept the return, yes or no? Decisions about the execution of the logistics. Decisions about the disposition, what do you do with the products that have been returned to you? And financial decisions about, do I give my customers a full refund or do I just give them a partial refund if the product that they shipped back was damaged, for example? And all these decisions really steer the effectiveness of the return process to solve the 3 problems we just talked about. And if you do this right, you can really drive sales retention and turn returns into repurchases and not lose revenue. You can truly achieve sustainability by having smart and sustainable logistics, and you can increase the opportunity for reselling the products to a new customer. But it means that you have to make the right decisions in a very complex process that is often very fragmented because it's executed by different parties. It's often executed by different systems. Sometimes it's executed in Excel, you don't even have a system, and still you want to make those decisions at scale. So you need smart automation and smart solutions to do so. But if you do it, you can really solve the problems that we see in returns. In cross-border, it's often easy to compromise those decisions. What you see a lot, for example, in cross-border returns is that merchants say to the customer, you better keep the product, it's cheaper. But then you actually promote free shopping, you don't want that. It's easy to say, let's all ship it back to Germany. But why should you ship everything back to Germany if you maybe know that the product cannot be resold again because it's end of life or because it's damaged? It's easy to say, let's all bring it back to the warehouse, but why should you if the potential destination of that return product is different? And it's easy to give your customer a quick refund. Ship it back, you get the money back, and we will see if the product arrives in our warehouse. It's easy for the customer, it's a compromise, but it might not always be the right decision if you're not sure that the behavior of the customer is the right one. So making those decisions is not just a matter of automating your process, it's also looking at the 4 individual components and tailor them to your business. What type of business are you? What type of customers do you serve? And which type of decisions fit to your business? And again, if you do that right, you can really simplify and optimize your return process and achieve the challenges that we talked about. So it's time to rethink returns. Returns is not just a pre-printed label with the delivery to ship the products back. Rethinking returns means that we need to think about an integrated process initiated by the end customer that follows all the steps from logistics to execution to finance and customer service. It follows exactly the same steps as shipping something, but just reverse. So you cannot rely anymore by just putting a return label in the box and say, oh, when the products get shipped back, everything is fine, because then you won't solve the challenges that we talked about. And what you see in the market today is that many e-commerce players really struggle with the cost of return. So what we see happening as well is that many merchants now start charging costs to the end customer. And suddenly many companies say, why do all those consumers return so easy? We should punish them. You can also ask yourself the question, why should we punish a consumer that we have told 10 years that they could ship for free and return for free? So it's too easy to say that consumers are to blame for shipping so many returns. And I think it's the responsibility of the merchant and the consumer together to define a return process and to define a return policy that simply makes sense and that fits to the objectives of the company. And we strongly believe in turning the return process from a one-size-fits-all into a personalized and localized return policy. And let me explain personalized and localized. If you take this very simple matrix and you look at a return, and you look at the customer who returns the products to you, and you look at the content of the return, you can see that you have this quadrant of frequent returners and normal returners. And you can see that you have partial returns and full returns. And if you simply fill in this matrix from a revenue point of view, you will see that in some cases you lose the entire revenue. And in some cases you only lose partial revenue. And in some cases, with that single customer, it happens every time again. And with some customers, it only happens ad hoc. And knowing this, why should you apply a standard return policy for all customers and, for example, charge them €5 to return something? Why not turn the return policy for your customer into a personalized return policy by, for example, applying a hybrid model like this? Giving a free return if the customer wants a voucher and letting the customer pay if they want a refund. And simply balance between the cost of logistics and the revenue of your sale to make the right decision to not lose revenue and to not overcomplicate things for your customer. And with a personalized return policy, we can never prevent returns. And preventing returns is quite likely something that won't happen that easy anyway, simply because the law allows consumers to return. And, well, the fact that so many purchases lead to a return is because customers have their opinions, their behaviors, their emotions. Returns will always be there. But making those returns personalized could help solving the problem, or at least reducing the problem from a financial point of view, from an operational point of view, and so on. So personalized return policies is one way to deal with the issue of return. And you might think, how do I organize this? That's simple, with software, with automation. Software can automate this for you. So one dimension of solving the return problem is powerful software to optimize your return process. And with that software, you can, for example, implement personalized returns. Let me explain the second part, localized returns. If you ship cross-border and you ship from Germany into Europe, You don't want to ship to a Danish customer and have the product shipped back to you from Denmark for each return, because it increases your cost, it increases the lead time of getting the product back, it's not sustainable, and so on. And you might be forced to compromise the decisions we talked about to still please the customer, but not really solve the problem. And of course, the real solution to returns, to cross-border returns, is local returns. So what you would like to have in each country in Europe is a local return platform. And in that local return platform, you can do 3 very smart things. The easiest way is to just handle the returns locally and then ship them back to your warehouse in Germany in a consolidated way. That's a very simple approach. You know what's coming back, so you can refund your customer, you can consolidate returns and ship them back to your warehouse in a cheaper way than you would do as individual returns. So a very easy solution with with the local return platform is consolidated returns. And that is a very easy thing that you can do tomorrow. The next thing you could do is keep the product local in that local platform and use them for e-commerce delivery to a new local customer. So instead of shipping the product back to your warehouse in Germany, for example, you keep the products or you keep the high-running products in your local warehouse and allocate them to a new local customer to save costs for the return, but also for the second delivery, of course. And ideally, we go into what we call peer-to-peer returns. The first customer doesn't even return to you because they ship the product to the second customer in the same country that bought it from you. And that's a real opportunity to maybe start reducing returns, or at least start reducing the impact of returns way bigger. So with localized returns, through a localized return platform, you have 3 options to improve the returns process in a phased approach. And together with personalized approach, you cannot prevent returns, but you can minimize the impact of returns. And that will clearly lead to a return on investment. And let's again look at the 4 dimensions we talked about before. With local returns, the experience for the customer, even though it's a customer in a foreign country, it's a local experience, which means it's a trusted experience for your customer, which means that your net promoter score might go up and the retention could go up because the customer feels that they have a more trusted solution. On the cost side, of course, when applying local shipping rates with a local carrier, shipping it to a local platform reduces your freight spend. And of course, it improves the lead time, which I even didn't mention on this part. By keeping those returns local, you can start processing them locally. You can define what gets back, and you can then decide how to refund your customer. And by doing that, your net promoter score goes up, but also your product recovery rates can go up, because you can locally decide which product should go back to your warehouse for restocking, and which should, for example, go to a recycling company. And of course, local is better. Sustainability is something that is really crucial for many merchants these days. And with a local solution, you can reduce the CO2 emission, you can reduce your freight spend, and make your solution way more sustainable. So with personalized returns and with local returns, you can really impact all those 4 areas that are important for you as a business. Shipcloud, company I work for, offers solutions for this. We offer the software, but we also offer the logistic solutions in Europe. We are a full service provider for delivery and return management based out of Hamburg and Bielefeld here in Germany. And what we would like to do for you as a shipper, we would like to make delivery and returns as easy as shopping is for your customer. That's our goal. And we offer solutions across 4 axes. We offer shipping services, tracking, return services, and we can fully manage those processes for you as well if you like. And with a very powerful technology platform and with an ecosystem of local carriers and all these things, we can truly help you with cross-border business in Europe. I'm happy to meet you. We are in Hall 2 at booth B08, and we're happy to talk to you today or tomorrow about your challenges and see how we can help you with it. Thank you very much.